Welcome to Mom Bods and Margaritas, where two childhood friends navigate the wild and crazy world of midlife.
That's right. We're diving into the ups and downs of relationships, motherhood, health, sports, and everything in between.
Join us as we share our personal stories, laugh through the challenges, and explore how to thrive in this transformative phase of life. Whether you're feeling lost, empowered, or somewhere in between, we're here to remind you you're not alone.
So grab a coffee or a margarita, settle in, and let's embark on this journey together. It's time to embrace the chaos and celebrate the beauty of midlife. Let's get started.
Listen, I was going to say this earlier, but I just decided not to because we had so much going on. So I was a little bit full of anxiety starting this tonight just because I've been gone all day. And,
Yeah.
my days just aren't like this anymore. I'm not always on the go. And so I was feeling kind of rushed and I needed to just soak in the tub for a minute. And then I had to get everything set up. But so the last 10 minutes, I was giving you time to set up. So I was on Instagram. I'm going to get cranked up talking about it. And you're going to be like, that's so not funny because I watch TikTok and it's not the same people that I watch.
Yeah.
And again, that just goes to show how are we friends? Because we have nothing in common except the poor choices that we make in life. I feel like that's what bonds us. Knowing each other.
Let's not go that far, okay? Because I would like to think that we have more in common than just our bad choices in life.
We do like to laugh.
We do.
And make fun of
God,
people.
you're making me question my life's motives here.
Well, just, some of the people that you think are funny. I was like that Leanne girl. I was like, I don't even think she's funny. She's too country. Anyway, I was watching Amanda Meadows, who I think she's on TikTok and all the sites or the platforms, but I just watch her on Instagram. And but it's Amanda Meadows. And so she grew up in a trailer park. And so she does a lot of trailer park skits and she does different characters. So I was cracking up watching her. And then this little Irish boy, I don't know if you've ever seen him on social media. His name's Jacob and it's his mom's page. So she'll record him and his little sister, but I just love that little Irish accent.
Yeah.
So I was watching him and then this other girl named Becca, I think it's Bastos or something. And anyway, so I felt much better getting on here, but I had to take a bath. So I have on no makeup. You can see my little bump going on, but whatever. Who cares? I don't care.
Whatever. Your skin looks great. I've had a long day.
Have you?
I've had a long day. Yes. And I stressed myself out and, without talking about, anything too much that would not be okay on a podcast. I had misread a date about something that was due at work. And rather than it being, oh, I'm late, I'm basically a whole month early. So I have been stressing myself out trying to get this done and thinking, how in the world am I going to get this done by Wednesday? When really I have until March 26th.
Oh, wow.
So when I had that realization about 4:30 this afternoon, I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to go home and have myself a little drink.
Well, listen, I will say I'm a faker over here today because I've got water. I don't have a margarita. This is the first time I've not had a margarita since we've done this, but I left the house this morning at 9:30 because I had to go pick up Jeffrey and then we went to a funeral. And I didn't plan on being gone as long as we were. So I didn't normally anytime I get in the car, I've got a water bottle or a thermos with water. You think I took one today? No. So by the time I got home at 4:00, I had maybe had 8 ounces of water all day.
Welcome to my life.
I was dying.
I
So
get more water brushing my teeth than most people do in a solid 4 minutes. Like that is, I hate water and I have to make myself drink it and I have to make myself choke it down and I hate it.
well, you like
Um,
your Diet Mountain Dews,
I
right?
do. This is a tequila drink, but it is not a margarita. So I I'm somewhat cheating, but last week I didn't have a margarita.
Right.
So at some point we're just gonna have to be mom
Well,
bots.
I had yeah, well, I had 2 for you, so but today
Okay.
I was like, I gotta do I need some water, so if you can hear me or if it gets too loud or I'm slurping, let me know.
Yeah. You could have just told everybody that was straight tequila and that you're a
I
boss.
should have.
Yeah. So today's topic, funny enough, about being an empty nester and midlife and
Mhm.
how that works. Very long story short, I had to go get a car tag today for my youngest son. He's away at school, he's at college, and
Did he get a new car?
we recently replaced his car. That's a whole nother saga for another. If we want to have an entire episode of me complaining about putting money into his other car, we can do that. But yes, we replaced his car a couple of Saturdays ago. And so I had to go get it. And, the DMV here, depending on who you get, is not that bad, right? They're pretty efficient. I will say I've had my fair share of frustrations there, but
Yeah.
for the most part, it's pretty efficient. Today it was like, no, I need this. And I completely understand what you need to get a tag. Let me just say that.
Mhm.
Um, but I didn't have it because I really wasn't supposed to need it, but she said I needed it and I was like, whatever. So I had to get out of line, go find it in my email. Luckily had a copy in my email, get back up there. And then I already had all the notes written out. They always want to know what's the other person's expiration date on their driver's license, what's their driver's license number, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
Okay. I was ahead of the game. I had already had a picture of his driver's license, had already written on a sticky note all the information that they would need off of it, handed that over. And she's like, no, I need a picture of his driver's license.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, what's your email? And so I'm standing in the line emailing from my phone. And then they won't take a digital copy of the insurance. And so anyway, I'm trying to do all this on my lunch break
Mhm.
and finally got it done and basically transferred it to his old tag. But it was an act of Congress. And I'm like, the next time I go in there, I'm going to have a blood sample, a kidney, slice of my
DNA.
liver. Like, it is crazy town. Like, who else would come in there and want to pay for a new tag? Like, it's not like I'm going to do this for some stranger.
Right.
And if I did, let me do it. I'm not taking any money out. I'm giving you money. I'm paying for a tag.
Did
So
they come out and look at the car?
no. Well, they couldn't have because the car is 3 hours away at school because he drove it back to school.
Okay. Well, I
Yeah.
remember the last time I went up there, I guess for my car, I think they had to come out and look at something. I don't remember, but I always get anxiety having to go to the DMV because I'm
Yeah.
so afraid. And you try to Google what you need because you can't ever get anyone on the phone. And so you think you have your list.
Yeah.
And just the thought of having to be told, no, you need something else, and you get out of line and go
Yeah.
and get back in
Yeah.
line.
Well, a very long time ago, just for our viewers, our 3 viewers, 25 viewers, um, I was involved in the car business. So I think I have a pretty good handle on how to get a tag. I did
Right.
a lot of stuff with titles and
Well, I guess
all
things have
that.
changed over
And
the.
apparently, I didn't have what I needed. I was like, so
Well, I'm
anyway,
about to
it's
have to
been
go
a
get
long
my star.
afternoon.
I got to go get my star ID. I haven't gotten that yet.
That is a joy. I had to do that too, and they told me I didn't have what I needed. And they said this was like, I want to say 2:30 in the afternoon. And they
Hmm.
said, oh no, you have to have this, this, and this. And I was like, well, I have, like this. I didn't have the third piece. And I thought I had to have like a copy, but I needed like the original of something. And she said, well, we close at 3. And I said, I'll be back. And she was like, well, you're not going to make it by 3. And I was like, hold my beer. And I came in there sideways at 2:50 and I got my star ID. I'm like, number one, don't ever tell me you can't do something because I will die trying. So that
Well,
was
I think
that day.
I have to get mine like within the next 3 weeks, I think, because my license will expire. So I've got to do that. I just had
Yeah.
my oldest son go do it, so it was fine.
Yeah, you've got to go do it because they continue to say, hey, you got to have it to fly, even domestically.
Right.
So
Yeah, I think.
luckily I got mine already.
Well, I don't know if Jeffrey's got his or not, but anyway, I've got to get mine done. So I guess that's what I'll be doing in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think the requirement's June.
I think it's May.
Yeah, and my son, the youngest one that's in college, he's doing a little study abroad um, trip. And so I'm like, you better have your star ID. We've already done the passport and all
Yep.
that. I mean, it's a whole rigmarole to do
Yeah.
anything.
It's always a lot. Um, Sorry, I'm trying to like read my notes over here. I've got so much going on right now. This is not the best setup, but we're trying something new this year, so hopefully it'll make the editing process, and maybe maybe we'll get our stuff figured out one day when we're grown.
So, one thing that really helped me, because for me, it was a very traumatic time in my life, not just because my children were moving in and out, but there were just a lot of other factors going on. And I think when my oldest son moved out, it felt like, oh, he'll be back. It didn't feel permanent.
Hmm.
And luckily, I was right. He did move home for a little while, and he and my younger son kind of passed in the night. The younger son, when he left for college, it just felt more final for me. And it was tough. And I think, again, it was more impactful on my life because he was the baby, because I already was going through all these other changes and all these other things were happening around me in my life. And during that same sort of time period that he was a senior, I ended up changing jobs. It was COVID. I mean, he graduated in 2021.
Hmm.
And when he left for school, it was just very traumatic for me. And honestly, I don't know how I handled it. Like I said, luckily the oldest one moved back home for a stint, but then he moved out. And, kind of right before that situation, I started, my separation, going through a divorce. And so all of that kind of hit me at one time. But one book that I read that really seemed to help and resonate with me is called Grown and Flown. And it is something I would highly recommend. And it just, I've got it on my phone here. Of course, I have to put my glasses on. But it just really kind of walks you through how to support your teenager. Um, it says how to support your teen, stay close as a family, and raise independent adults. And I have to say, I obviously have recovered from that,
Hmm.
but I love this time. I love that my kids now are 25 and 21, and we have kind of moved more into a friendship as young adults, as opposed to that parent that's constantly worrying about them when they turn 16 and they start driving and, start figuring it out. And I will say I love this time now, but I still miss my children.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to look forward to it. It's and I feel like I've already started that journey anyway
Mm-hmm.
because so my youngest will move out in mid-July and that'll be it. So I will officially have no more kids in the house. So I still have what 4 months left, March, April, May, June, July, 4 or 5 months. Um my daughter will never move back home.
Mm-hmm.
She's it has her own home. I say that. I mean, we hope, unless,
Sure.
something were to happen, but I don't really expect my oldest son to move back home. And, if things go well after my youngest graduates, he'll get a job and he might be back temporarily. But I don't foresee my kids ever being back here again.
Right.
And I'm okay with that, and I think,
Mm-hmm.
some parents feel bad about that, and some are sad about it. I'm not sad about it. Do I miss my kids being young and
Mm-hmm.
that season of life? Absolutely, I do, for
Sure.
many reasons. It's being younger in life. I was younger, I was more active, my kids were little, we were involved in a lot. It was just a different season, but am I
Mm-hmm.
looking forward to not raising kids anymore at home and having to
Yeah.
discipline and be the bad guy and
Sure.
all that entails? Yeah, I'm 50 years old. I've been doing this for over 30 years. I'm ready to move on to my next phase of life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think when you have successfully done it, and again, we've all made mistakes. We've talked about this on a previous episode. I've made mistakes with my children, as I'm sure you have too, or things that you wish that you could go back and do better or do differently. But at the end of the day, when it's kind of job well done, when you
Yeah.
feel like you've raised productive members of society, and not to say that they're not going to make mistakes or that they haven't made mistakes either, but when they kind of get out of the house and you see them becoming a grown adult and making choices and doing things on their own, even if it's a little rocky at first, it gives you pride to feel like, my job is done, job well
Mhm.
done. And it's even better and even sweeter when you're still friends with them and there's not this animosity. And that, when there is a ball game on and, the Super Bowl was on and I
Yeah.
watched it with my kids and, now their girlfriends participate in these things. And so it's just a fun time. And I think this is honestly, I know it can get sweeter when we get grandbabies, but if we get grandbabies, but I do feel like this is such a fun time to watch them bloom into who they're supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, don't you often hear women say, "I don't know what my identity is
Yeah,
without my kids here. I
for
don't know
sure.
who I am without being a mom." And I can relate to that.
Sure.
I don't know how I'll fill my time, but to be honest, I feel like I'm kind of already there anyway.
Yeah.
You know, I You have a very what I think is a very busy and fast-paced life. You work full time, you're involved in your church, you do things with your friends, you go see your grandmother out of town, we're doing this. I feel like you've always got something on your plate, so
Yeah.
you still have a very busy life.
Yeah.
I don't. And so my life slowed down about 3 years ago because I quit work at the end of the 2022 school year,
Mhm.
and my youngest son also turned 16 that summer. So he
Right.
had his license. So
Mhm.
all at once, it really slowed down.
Yeah.
It does more as your kids leave the house and you're down from 3 to 2 to 1. But once
Mhm.
he got his license and I quit work, my life really slowed down, and personally, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
My mom and my aunts tell me all the time, "Oh, well, why don't you get involved in this? And why don't you do this?" And I'm like, "'Cause I don't want to." You know, I
Mhm.
don't want to do
Yeah.
that in my life right now. Maybe when I'm in this phase for 10 years and I get bored with
Yeah.
this, then maybe I'll become active in some other groups. And it's not like I just sit here all day and do nothing. I still
Oh,
have my
sure.
friends that I see and my family, and I travel and this and that and the other. But it's not like when your kids were smaller and you were just going nonstop, working, taking care of
Mhm.
kids, chauffeuring, cleaning, cooking. You remember those days. It was a lot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not gonna pack my days like that again. I want to have a slow paced life. That's my choice. This is where I
Yeah.
wanna be. So, that's how I wonder how I will do officially being an empty nester. I
Mhm.
know I'll miss my kids because there will be things that, and I'm getting choked up thinking about it. Even though I did this with my other kids in one way or another, it's like this is the last time I will ever wave goodbye to my son in the morning. We have a
Mhm.
certain wave that we do in the mornings, or when he walks in that door in the afternoon, or when he leaves, on Tuesday nights, like he is right now, going to guitar lessons. Just those things that you get used to.
Mhm.
When 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock rolls around on a Tuesday and he's not here for me to say, be careful,
Yeah.
on the way to your lessons, or when I'm sitting in the living room at 7:45 in the morning, I
Yeah.
can't say, "Love you, have a good day." It's those things that I know I'll be thinking about, and the house will be quieter.
Mhm.
So, I don't know. I don't really know what to expect when all of this
Well,
comes to
I
fruition.
think yeah, I think we have to your point, this was your choice to kind of put on the brakes and slow your pace down and do things a little bit differently. I think we have to almost as women, and maybe I'm the only one that feels this way, but I feel like we almost every few years have to reinvent ourselves. Who am I? What do I want to do? And sometimes I struggle with that, to be honest, because I live so fast paced. There are times that I feel a little resentful that all of my time is spoken for.
Yeah,
But we've talked about this too. Whose choice was that? It's mine. It's my choice to do the things that I do. And there are some things that are outside of my control, of course. But I find myself, I'm a very independent person, very independent. If I want to go eat by myself, if I want to go to the movies by myself, if I want to go hike by myself. But I find myself sometimes now thinking on Saturday morning, what do I want to do? Maybe I want to sit here and watch Netflix all day.
mhm.
Maybe I need to go work in the yard, which I would rather take a stick in the eye. But,
Same.
maybe I need to go work in the yard and I can do that or I cannot. That's me that pays the consequences for it. And so it's wonderful to have that freedom to make those choices. But sometimes it's like, wow, I wish I was getting up on Saturday morning and making pancakes and driving somebody to a ball game.
Right.
Those things are fleeting thoughts, and I embrace where I am now. And, you know, 10 years ago, we couldn't have had a podcast. We, there's no way. I mean, it was like 24/7 having something going on.
And we were wishing for these days,
Yeah. Yeah.
wishing for things to slow down.
Yeah. You always wish for what you don't have,
Yeah.
you know? But there's times, again, Saturday mornings, I'm like, I love to hike. I really don't want to go by myself. Not because I'm not capable of it. I've been by
Yeah.
myself 1,000 times, but it'd be great. But I'm single. A lot of people my age are not single. And pretty much all my friends, with the exception of very few, are married. And so they're not going to get up on Saturday morning and be like, see ya, kids, see ya, hubby.
Right.
Now, if their husband's got something going on and he's playing golf and the kids are doing this or whatever, that's different. But, you know, married people can't just consistently go hang out with single people,
Right.
you know? And so it's like, well, if I want to go hiking or I want to go out of town, and I've been out of town by myself. I went to Chattanooga by myself and hung out and ate and had the best time by myself because I like me and I like my company. But, you know, there are times that it would be really nice to share some of those experiences with people, but it's a hard age, you know,
Yeah.
and it's not easy at our age to make new friends, especially not ones that are, you know, in your same phase of life.
Right. Well, I was talking to my father-in-law earlier today and just talking about what was going on. And so I had mentioned that Jeffrey and I may move within the next year.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was asking where, and, we don't have any place specifically. We just
Sure.
look. But, I was thinking about it driving home, just that along with being empty nesters, which gives us the freedom to be able to move. We were never going to move until my kids
Sure.
graduated from high school.
Sure.
But I am very close to my family. I love my friends. And there's a part of me that always has that in the back of my mind when I thinking about moving. Jeffrey's
Yeah.
like, let's move to Tennessee. And I'm always like, excuse me, I have no family here. Why would I want to move to Tennessee?
You are going to have some family there because that's where I want to move.
Oh, you want to move?
So
We can be neighbors.
we can, and that would be a shit show, but it would be awesome.
Well, I think I was, for me, like when I think of empty nesting, yes, my kids are no longer at home, but I think about my parents too,
Mm-hmm. Sure.
because wherever we move to, I want to be close enough to my family, to my brother and
Mm-hmm.
sister. And listen, I don't see my brother and sister that often. We're all grown. We have our lives. We're busy. We see each other several times a year, but that doesn't mean that I want to be across the country from them or
Sure.
states away. They may not care, but I care. And
Yeah.
so it just got me thinking on the way home about moving and what that looks like. And you still never really do anything for you. There's always someone else in the back of your mind that you're taking into consideration, or at
Yeah.
least that's how I am.
Well, beyond my job, so let's just pretend that it would have been an option with my job because, quite honestly, I think it would have been with what I do. Um, I would have loved last May to move to Chattanooga. I've always said I wanted to move to Chattanooga. That's kind of where I wanted to be.
Hmm.
But like you, I have aging parents. I have one that is very ill, terminally ill, not doing well. Um, Another one that lives, 10 minutes away. I have my grandmother who's still living, and I sit with her every Sunday. And, you know, I can't imagine just packing up and moving. And so,
Yeah.
to your point, yes, I'm single. My kids are gone. They're grown. They can come to me wherever I am. And, I'd be just living my best life. But at the same time, there's always someone else that you have to consider,
Right.
even when you're not married. And so, I think that has dampened my choices, and I'm here and I'm happy and I love my home and all of those things. But it is always in the back of your mind, like what's going to happen ultimately if I want to move there. How long is that going to be? Or am I going to have to pack up and take everybody with me? you know?
Well, that's the other thing that I think about is I'm also trying to think into the future, and I probably overly think all of this,
So do
but
I.
it's just who I am, okay? It's not going to
Yeah.
change. So I think about, oh, well, I would like a place that's, big enough for my kids to come
Yep.
and stay, or if they're all at, at my house at the same time, if it's for the holidays, my kids may not want to do that. They may want to be at their own home. But what am I thinking in the back of my mind? I need a place that's at least big enough for if everyone wants to come over. I have my family over a lot, especially during the holidays. I need space for that. I'd like to have a pool because guess what? When you have a pool, your kids come to visit you and your grandkids want to be over and visit you. And you can just lay out if you want to during the summer. I think of all these things. And so I'm planning already for when
Mhm.
we move. It's also for other people too. And Jeffrey has told me before, nicely, but it's kind of like, Lisa, we're not moving, for the kids. We don't have to, everything doesn't have to be for the kids. And I'm like,
Well,
well,
and we're
why?
not buying the Biltmore so we can have a bed and breakfast for all of
Yeah.
your extended family to want to stay there. Yeah.
So I say I'm okay with being an empty nester, but
But
yet,
you're not. I mean,
um,
you're an empty nester most days
right.
or some days.
But I just,
Yeah.
I want that to be an option because my family is important to me and they always have been. I've just always been that person.
Yeah.
And this isn't giving myself a pat on the back, but I am, I have text groups that I set up with my family. I, do our football stuff and the March Madness brackets, and they come over to my house. I feel like I'm pretty good at keeping my family somewhat, involved, and we see each other during the year. And my mom was always good about that, especially when we were younger and when my nieces, were younger because they were closer to my kids' age versus my nephew. But we would always do stuff, together. And so my mom was always very good at that. But um, I love my brother and sister dearly, but that's just not their, I don't want to say cup of tea, but they're not good at that type of thing. And they'll say that. I'm not saying anything that they don't know, but that's just who I am. And I've always wanted to be around my family or my friends. And so I want my home to be for that as well.
Well, let's face it. The oldest daughter, which both of us are,
Bossy
is the,
pants.
you said it, but it's true. Both of us are oldest daughters. And honestly, with that kind of encompasses the title family manager.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not, just because of restrictions, and we won't go into all that, but I'm not as much of a family planning, host parties, that kind of thing. Like I would do it, but there's a lot of limitations with my grandmother being
Yeah,
in a
of course.
wheelchair, my dad's terminally ill. There's not a lot of that stuff. And, I typically will try to plan things for holidays, but it's typically my children and my mom, and
Yeah.
that's it. And so it's very small. Um, but I end up being the family manager a lot of times and doing a lot of different things and helping a lot of different situations. And, um, you know, I think that's just kind of falls on your shoulders. And you seem to do a great job with that and just really appreciate the sentimental side and having those memories and all of that. And that's something that I envy about you and that I respect about you is I know that you put a lot of thought into that, just like that Valentine's brunch that you put together for
Yeah.
your mom and your aunts, which I'm coming next year, by the way. I know you didn't invite me, but see you in Tennessee.
You're
But
always welcome.
be careful what you wish for. But but yeah, I think you do a great job with that. And I'm always in awe of how great of a host you are and how well you put things together. And
Well,
so
I appreciate it,
I,
but I enjoy it. I enjoy
yeah,
doing that, and
I
it
mean,
makes me happy.
typically, I can be that way, but most of the time is I'm slinging some Cheez Its on the counter and being like, hey, everybody come over. We're watching football or we're doing
Yeah.
whatever. So um, I look forward to having uh, more fullness later in my life and having a partner and hosting things like that, and my life slowing down a little bit too.
Well, that's the other thing with having to deal with the empty nester phase is, where does that leave you and your spouse? Because you hear often,
Mm-hmm.
um, sometimes it can take a toll on a marriage, and
Sure.
sometimes, it makes it thrive because you have more time for each other. So I think about that a lot too. Um, you know, Jeffrey and I have been married almost 10 years. So, and he still works, and he works a lot, and that's not going to change anytime soon. So that's
Mm-hmm.
really what I think about for myself is, what am I going to do to fill my time? Now,
Sure.
right now, obviously I said, I don't want my time, I don't want to squeeze something in every hour of the day, but will that give us more time to do things? I do
Yeah.
travel with him some, but I don't as much as I could,
Yeah.
because I've still got a child at home, which he doesn't care if I leave. He likes for us to go because he likes to be home by himself, just him and the dog.
Mm-hmm.
So, he makes it easy on me when I do go out of town, but at the same time, there's there's trips that I don't go on with my husband for work, because I know my time with my youngest, is there's not much left, and so I just prefer to be here.
Well,
But
that's a valid point too. Is like, hey, we pack up and we move, and it makes our marriage thrive, and all of the good things that come with that. And but in that regard, then you're away from your family. His work schedule is not going to change, and so now you've left your friends and your
right,
family. And I'm certain that's what is kind of driving those discussions and decisions. Um, is you don't want to be by yourself in a different state, or by
right,
yourself in a different area where you can't easily connect with your friends and your family like you would want to.
yeah. And some of that may be, I don't have a very demanding husband as far as
Mm-hmm.
what he expects out of me. I've
Mm-hmm.
actually told him before, I wish he would expect more out of me as a wife, a housekeeper, all of it, because he just doesn't care that much. It doesn't bother him.
I
Um,
need to find one like
you
that.
do, because I'm telling you, I told him earlier today, listen, I'm not cooking dinner because we've got the podcast tonight. And he's like, okay, so then don't cook dinner. He doesn't care. He would come home and eat a sandwich. He would do that every day. He
Yeah.
doesn't ever say anything about the house. He doesn't.
But your house is spotless. Come on.
Well, again, though, I'm here, so I can somewhat keep it clean. He's always encouraging me to do stuff with my friends. So I say all that to say, I don't even think that will change. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like I've got somebody that expects dinner, on the table every night at 6 o'clock, or gets mad if I go out with my friends, and then you've got to try to figure out how to navigate through all that because your kids are gone, but
Mm-hmm.
you need, time with your friends. And you're trying to figure out who you are. So I don't know. I don't know how it's going to end up for me, but I am looking forward to it, just because if my kids are happy, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Brooklyn's in a great place. Blake's in a great place. Will is about to be off at school. So if they're thriving and successful and happy, it makes my life a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, my youngest recently said, oh, I was thinking about, potentially being here, staying here, and then and talking about where he's at school. And then he just recently said, I really like Birmingham. I think I'm probably going to come home. I might end up in Huntsville or somewhere, but Huntsville's close.
Yeah.
It's an hour and a half. And it's a great city. It's growing. But, you know, I remember my oldest when he was really young. He was like kindergarten, first grade age. And he did this project at school. And it was basically he was a penguin and he was moving away to Alaska. And I was like, well, are you going to take your mom? And he was like, no. So he's always been the one that I would expect to pack his car up and be like, hey, I'm moving to Pakistan,
Yeah.
like get away from here. And then the baby, when he was saying, "Oh, I may stay here," I'm like, again, it's not that far, but I was so surprised by it, and I was like, "No, you can't," you know. And
Yeah.
so now I think he's probably going to end up back. He'll probably live here for a short stint while he's, you know, getting his real job, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm just kind of excited that he wants to be in this area again. And who knows where his life is going to take him. He might be the one moving to Pakistan before it's all over with. But um,
Well,
anyway,
I hope that my kids never have to move back home. I will be
yeah,
honest. And listen, I've had to move back home before. So
yeah, me too.
I'm not saying that in a mean way or a judgy way. It's just it's very hard for adults to live together. It's hard
Yeah,
enough for you and your spouse sometimes,
yeah,
okay? When you've got adult children or in-laws or whoever it may be, you've got butting heads,
yeah.
you know, because it's still my house and I'm going to have certain rules. I don't care how
Mhm.
old you are, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Depending on the situation, like you just can't do whatever you want to in my house.
yeah,
Um, so I really hope that they never have to come home because I do worry about that, you know, if that were to happen. So I don't know.
yeah. I mean, it is difficult, and I've had to move home more than once. So let's be honest. Um, but it was it was a struggle for me and for my pride. I
Yeah.
am I'm a very I've said it multiple times. You know this, you can nod your head along with me. I'm a very independent person, very headstrong, like to take care of myself, don't want anybody taking care of me kind of thing, and which I'm working on. I'm trying to be better, so give me a call. Um, but I'm really independent. And so having to swallow that pride and be like, ugh, you know, I've got to come home and stay here. I, it was terrible. It was terrible. And I'm just not built for it.
Not either.
I can't do it.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
so I did have a thought the other day. Speaking of moving home, I really did have this thought the other day. I was like, oh my gosh, what if something happened? Like before, even though you did not want to move home, you've always felt in the back of your mind that safety and security. Like, I
Yeah,
know if the crap hits the fan, I can move home.
sure.
Like, I'm going to have a roof over my head,
Right.
right? And if everything falls apart, I will have a place to go. And I was thinking the other day, oh my gosh, I am the place to go. I don't have anywhere to go. Like, I can't go anywhere. So, failure's not an option, right? I am the place to go. Now, my kids are the ones going, well, if something happens, I would hate it, but I could move on with mom. And now I'm like, I have nowhere to go. I am out of options.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So if everything falls apart, I'm going to be coming to your house in Tennessee.
Well, I can tell you, we're not moving to Tennessee.
And you're going to be like, here are the rules.
Right. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Let me see what else I got here. I still haven't been to the eye doctor. So when
I
you know, these
went,
are reading glasses. Right now, this is clear, but when I look over at my iPad, it's a little bit blurry, even though I've got my
yeah.
glasses on. I've got to
Well,
get my
these
progressive.
are my really cheap, I think they're Nicole Miller or some garbage. I don't know. But I got a 3-pack when I think I said this last
Yeah.
week, but I was on the road with work, broke my other readers. And so, you know, got a 3-pack. I've got some pretty fancy, you know, reading glasses. But she told me when I went to the eye doctor, she's like, you can see fine out there. Your eyes are getting worse up close. And I said, well, what about a contact? Like, do I need one close and one far away, like where it balances out? And she goes, no, honestly, you don't. I mean, if you're super annoyed with taking those glasses on and off all day, which I am, but
Yeah, me
I'll
too.
live with it. But I wear them most of the day because I'm on my computer. But she said, if you're annoyed, we can do like some progressive lenses or whatever those are
Yeah.
called. But I don't want to wear glasses all the time and feel like I'm dependent on them, even though I already am. But
Well, I just want them for something like this, or if I'm cooking, because
yeah.
if I took my glasses off right now, I mean, I can still read that. It's a little blurry,
Mm-hmm.
but I this is clear. And so
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to look right here and then look over and it still be clear. Or when I'm cooking and I have to look up, like if someone says something to me, I'm not doing that,
Yeah.
so I just, I got to get something else. I think these glasses are probably, gosh, at least 5 years old.
I
So
think they're cute though.
they are cute, but they're just reading glasses. And
Yeah.
so I need something else because as soon as I look up, it's all blurry.
Oh,
And that's
yeah.
not helping my eyes. That's awful for your eyes when you do
Yeah.
that all the time.
So I think we can agree that just like every other life phase, this has its challenges and its rewards. And being in this phase of life, we honestly should be taking some time to relax and travel and do some things that we want to do. Um, and I think just like everything else, it's an adjustment. Maybe that's what I mean by reinventing yourself every few years because things around you change. That the only thing that is constant is change in your life. And while we still have our health and a little bit of our mind left, we should be doing some things because we'll look back, it'll be another 20 years
Yeah.
and our health will be declining.
Hmm.
And, you know, so I do appreciate where I am in my life. Things are good. And, you know, I just hope I have somewhere to go when the crap hits the fan.
It's not going to happen again. This is
No,
it.
no, it's not. But if you're single, call me. Especially if, you're our age and want to go do something and don't wear pawpaw shoes.
No pawpaw shoes.
No, because if I roll up on that again, I'm out. I'm going to fake a seizure. I'm heading to the car. I can't even make it through another dinner with that.
No pawpaw shoes.
No pawpaw shoes. And for the love, no cargo shorts.
No Dockers. Let's just say no Dockers. And
Flat front pants.
you can't wear the white New Balance shoes that my dad wears.
No. Although my youngest son's friends wear those. They are apparently so kitschy that they're in style.
Listen, I
That
know
they
that
wear them
there's,
like almost as a joke. But no, I can't do it.
I know that, New Balance, maybe people are wearing them again. I'm almost at the point to where I don't care. I'm just going to wear what I want to wear and that's comfortable. But the New Balance shoes that my dad wears, and he even sent me a little video or meme about it the other day because he
Yeah.
knows it's funny. Okay. The
Yeah.
white ones with the blue in or whatever.
Yes, the dad shoes.
Bless. But
No Dockers, no Rockports, and no men's, what is it, 885 New Balance. No. But if you have a job and you go to it
right.
and you're single, not secretly married, and you like to do stuff and you're young at heart, call me.
And you can put together a sentence in a text
Yes,
message and
that
respond
would
back.
be fantastic if you
Yeah.
didn't send me like stupid stuff.
Not asking much.
The bar is low, guys. Great to see you. I'll enjoy the rest of my drink and you enjoy your water and your beautiful skin.
Well,
And
thanks.
we will see each other next week.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.